Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the end game now because the end of Titans Season 3 is almost here. This time next week, this season will be over because next week's episode is the Season 3 finale, which means that today we are talking about the penultimate episode of Titans Season 3, aka Titans Season 3, Episode 12. So, of course, as always, before we get into the recap and breakdown, go ahead and let me know your various thoughts and opinions in the comments below. What did you think about the episode, and what do you think will go down in the season finale next week? And also, spoiler warning if you've not yet seen this episode, because, well, it's kind of obvious. We're talking spoilers. But anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into breaking down Titans Season 3, Episode 12, titled Prodigal. So the episode opens following up after all of our cliffhangers from last week's episode, where we see Rachel feeling Dick dying. Like, that was kind of what happened at the end of last episode after Dick got shot. Rachel was like screaming or something. You could tell that she felt Dick, and she felt his presence, and she felt his pain. So then she and Gar go to find his body, but they're too late. She can't do anything about it, just like how she couldn't bring Donna back to life. She can't bring Dick back to life. But then all of a sudden these bats start surrounding them, just as they have been for the last couple episodes here. These bats keep following Gar, and I kind of had a theory about where he was going, but I wasn't really completely sure if they'd actually do it. But I'm so happy they did, because then all of a sudden Gar starts transforming into a bat, and this was just such a cool moment because he finally transformed into an animal other than a tiger, which has been probably my biggest complaint with this show so far. I mean, 3 seasons in, his name is Beast Boy. Literally, his superpower is he can turn into any single animal that he wants to, and all he's done in 3 seasons is a tiger. I think he turned into a snake once, but now finally he turned into a bat, which is really awesome here. I really enjoyed seeing that. So then the bats all surround Dick's body, and they lift his body up and bring him to the Lazarus pit, where then, of course, the goal is to bring him back to life and, get him back in action. But meanwhile, Jason is not having very much luck, because he ends up leaving Jonathan Crane just because he's just being weird and crazy, and he's just a complete psycho, and surprise, Jason is just now realizing that. But then Crane also does a little taunting of Barbara now that she's in prison. I almost forgot about that because we didn't see her at all last episode. But she was arrested. She was stripped of her Commissioner Gordon title, and now she's in prison. And somehow Crane has accessed the security camera and is talking to her and just taunting her and teasing her with oh, Nightwing's dead and all this stuff. And it doesn't seem to affect her too much, but at the same time, I mean, she is in prison, and she honestly probably doesn't even know if she's actually hearing that or if she's just going insane in there. Now, before Dick can just straight up come back to life after being in the Lazarus pit, he has to go through almost, I guess you could call it the gauntlet, just referring back to recent episodes of Supergirl. That's kind of what they've been calling it there. So he has to go through the gauntlet, and he's just in this weird state where he's just got all of these crazy things going through his mind. First of all, Crane is taunting him this whole time, saying things about, you're responsible for Jason's death, your father isn't proud of you, and then we get this big reveal at the end that he has a daughter. So at the end, there's this little girl that calls him daddy, and I think this is confirmation that Dick and Corey are going to get together, and they're going to have a kid, because that's, of course, a big thing in the comics. Nightwing and Starfire were a thing. They were a couple, and there's been some little teases of it here and there in Titans so far, especially back in Season 1, but this season it's mostly been Dick and Barbara, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to be getting some more Dick Corey next season, which I'm really excited to see. And I mean, if they have a daughter, clearly they end up happily ever after. So I'm really excited for that. But after that moment is when he wakes up alive. And of course, Rachel and Gar are super happy and everything. But Dick automatically just wants to go back after Jason, even though he literally just came back to life. But alright, Dick, you go for it. Meanwhile, we have a little bit of a story with Blackfire. Again, another character we didn't get to see last episode. But she is out there in the city. Seems like she's actually stealing stuff, kind of being a criminal. And Crypto actually finds her and brings her back to save Connor because of what Dick did to him last episode with blowing the kryptonite dust in his face. And they basically decide to become their own crime-fighting dynamic duo, which I thought was pretty cool. So then they go specifically back to that doctor that held her captive back in episode 2. No, it wasn't episode 2. Episode 4. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was episode 4. So they go back and visit that doctor that's holding her captive, and he reveals to her that he has her ship in his possession. And then Corey shows up and explains everything that went on. Turns out Blackfyre is the rightful queen because she's the one that originally had the power of fire. So now she wants to go back to Tamaran so that she can rule her people, even though everybody there hates her. She's the rightful queen, so she wants to go be queen because that's always been her dream. So she and Connor say goodbye, but then at the end it's not really goodbye because Connor is kind of the key to doing this because the ship isn't working at the moment and they need like really hot flames and like, you know, really strong heat, so they have to use Connor's heat vision. So he's the one that has to power up the ship, but when he does this, it seems like he purposefully destroys Blackfire's ship because he doesn't want her to go. You know, she's like the best thing that's ever happened to him. But you can see that this is the Lex Luthor side of things coming into him because, you know, if he... well, it's like that classic thing that you always see in movies and stuff where it's like, if you really love her, then let her go. And that's what he should have done here, but because of his Lex Luthor side, he became obsessive and doesn't want to let her go. She's his now, and that's kind of creepy, but again, it's that's one of the coolest things about Connor is that he's half Superman, half Lex Luthor. He's got those dual personalities, and you know, honestly, I'm a pretty big fan of the relationship between Connor and Blackfire. So I'd like to see it continue, but she's probably going to be pretty not happy with him at this moment. But speaking of not happy, Dick automatically goes off and finds Jason, and he asks for his help in taking down Crane and saving Gotham. And of course, Jason accepts. This has been the big thing we've been talking about all season. Sure, Jason has done some really bad stuff as Red Hood, especially, like, you know, killing Hank. But by the end of it, he's probably going to get redeemed. And I love how in this moment where Jason says, so what, am I just a Titan again? And Dick says, no, you'll never be a Titan, but help me save Gotham City. That was such a great moment because, you know, he can redeem himself and he can help them save Gotham City, but he's never going to be a Titan again after what he did. And that's what makes me theorize that by the end of this, he's probably going to not rejoin the Titans, but actually leave Gotham City, because there are some pretty huge rumors about a Red Hood spin-off series, which may possibly be announced this weekend at DC Fandom, which is definitely some exciting news. But then we get our last couple things here with Barbara actually escaping prison, and she goes to try and reactivate Oracle, but so far nothing is happening because she destroyed it when Crane accessed it. But hopefully she'll be able to regain access next episode. We did get some stuff here also with Donna, Tim, and his dad. Not really anything huge. I mean, they're just like the Resistance and they're like doing stuff, but like really no huge progress in this episode. And then finally, the final scene of this episode is the GCPD bringing what I think is fear toxin to Jonathan Crane in the Batcave. I'm not completely sure. It was just some sort of green substance, so it could have been kryptonite because it didn't look like it was pretty much like the same safe where Dick got the kryptonite last episode. But it could also be fear toxin because that's what Dick was mentioning before with like the old, like Crane's old plan of bombing City Hall or something like that with fear toxin and with the poems and everything. So I'm not completely sure what it is, so definitely let me know in the comments below what you think it is, because it wasn't really that clear. But again, it could be really either one. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I can keep up to date on everything goes on in the DC life.